So this is the end of the 18-day research period at MARC, called Reflective Nebula, which by the end we also decided that it was a part of Peter, and Reflective Nebula was the object that was created, or this moment in time. We spoke a lot about interest, and we spoke about history and memory, and for me it was this ongoing understanding or questioning around what makes you and your activities you, and to start and investigate that in amongst strangers and with another community that's not your own. But I think what was really strong is that it was still a project around the self and around myself, I guess, in general. I don't like saying that because it feels super egocentric, but I think there's something to be said about that you initiate from your activities, you initiate from your interests, you view from your position, you listen from your situation, and that's the departing point. And if you don't include that, if you don't work on that, and if you don't question that and have that as a part of your artistic practice, then you run the risk of being irresponsible with your activities and misleading yourself and finding yourself in places which, if you had spent time and considered the trajectory or the things that you were doing, you wouldn't have done those things. So it's still a kind of ethical, if you want to call it that, integral sort of practice of reworking one's own and ethics, activity in relation to the people and the places that you find yourself, and how to do that, and that's the other thing that seems really strong in the work, is that for me it relies on a basic understanding, or I'm losing myself a bit. Rather than setting myself goals and targets and this is a good practice, this is how things should be done, and then having that sort of burden, that overweighing constant goal or ambition, there's a huge work goes into trying not to produce sort of big ideas that are difficult to live up to, or that one would have to live up to. So to work in a place where you are negotiating the very material and the very activity that you're doing, but you're not necessarily producing a big ideology or theme or thing to march under, some sort of banner to hold up, that it doesn't become in art, in some terms, political, as in politics that we know, like representational politics and NGOs, and is that the right word? Non-profit organisations, and so where you're rallying under a banner, but that you really deal with what you're feeling and what you're engaging with, rather than representative terms of you should always be nice or try and be happy. We had a great question yesterday from a lady who had participated in the different workshops and stuff, and she asked I forget exactly how it was phrased, which felt important, but it was something like what makes you happy? I think that was the question. What makes you happy? And immediately I ran away from the question and I said, I don't want to ever try and strive for happiness because it's too much of a burden. And I think that's a similar feeling I have with political ideals and stuff, is that I don't want to entrap myself like that in striving and always comparing myself to some sort of ideal, but to really feel the situation. And with her I said, what I really want is the motivation to be able to do things, because I think by being able to do things one can experience the world better. If one has no ability to try different things and go different places, even within very small parameters, I'm not talking about changing the world or running long marathons, I'm talking about just having options and being able to do different things. And I think for that there needs to be motivation, and motivation is also a big part of self-confidence, self-worth, and I think you get that by also listening to the things that surround you and being a consequence with those things. So with that consequence, with that motivation, and with doing and trying and going places and not being entrapped by or held still or fearful from doing because you are trapped by some sort of ideal of how it should be or what you should be doing. So that's where the practice or the thing came. It became a performative, artistic investigation around how I deal with myself in relation to other people, how I deal with people and the situation and community. And so I mean, I would talk about this. I'm really struggling to talk about the object itself, what was created here at at MARC. So many places. We met 11 groups over 13 days, and 4 days throughout October, and so it's been a lot of people and a lot of stuff, but I'm reluctant to talk about what was created or what's there. I feel it's more appropriate to just continue trying, and hopefully through the paths that are encountered after and post, you start to feel other traces and other stories and maybe echoes of this one, and things that we found here. So yeah, first time doing this review vlog video. there's so many elements and aspects of memory tied up in this same place. It's difficult to say this is it. It's too. At least I almost have too much of a short-term memory, or too little of a capacity to remember exactly. I don't know if people feel that it can contain all aspects of everything, and that's also the reason why I'd rather work with what's right here than try and consider all the aspects and all the elements of everything and compile it together to make a judgment or to make a correct choice or whatever, but to try and negotiate these emotions now, this situation now, these people, what I do remember now and what I can connect to, and work with that and have faith in that by working with that I will find a way to continue in a good way, in a responsible way, even though one isn't necessarily trying to be completely objective and trying to include all information. I just feel you're setting yourself up to fail to do that. And although you can consider objectives and consider larger pictures, which I think are indeed really important, but if you set out to try and use all that as a thing to understand what to do, it makes your life very difficult, very hard indeed. So here we are now at the research centre. As you can see, we had snow at the beginning. We've had many different weathers. We had a storm, we had blue skies, we had sun. January here has really thrown many different feelings. And this is the centre. We go in here. I imagine all the lights are off. This is the morning after, apart from one window that was on black last night. And that's it's still on. So there we go. This is the space. So there's remnants of the performance from last night. Some of the lights still there. These stone circles. The object in the middle made from all the materials from the week. These windows painted by two guests. Go inside the circle. And just look behind, down, up. There we go. It's good that I've come here. Okay, thank you. Until next time.